Have you ever had to have a challenging conversation with one of your students' parents? Have you ever put off having that conversation and the situation got worse? It can be scary to have to speak to a parent about their child's behaviour or performance, and I'm sure we've all heard horror stories of when it has gone wrong. Hi everyone, I'm Natalie from MyProgression, and this video is about effective communication with parents and guardians. I really hope this will give you more confidence to have those conversations, whether they're positive or negative. There are many times throughout an academic year where you, as staff in school, may need to communicate with parents, and this may be for a number of reasons. Parents also may want to communicate with you and contact the school to talk to you. Now, this could be to inform you of something, to ask a question or for clarification, to voice a concern, or even to make a complaint. And you, in turn, may want to contact a parent for the same reasons. This video will address all of these reasons, and if you do have any experiences you wish to share, then pop them in the comments below. Now, obvious point here, but please ensure you keep any details of the children and parents anonymous. And whilst you're there, like and subscribe to keep seeing more from MyProgression. Since the pandemic, we as educators have had to really change and adapt to meet the needs of communicating with children and teaching them. And this has opened up many avenues to communicate freely and easily with each other. Some schools have continued to run their parents' evenings on Teams or via Zoom, rather than returning to a face-to-face system. So as educators, we do have many tools to use to communicate with parents. We have face-to-face, phone calls, video calls, emails, text messages, classroom apps, social media, but ensure this is through the school's account and that you have permission. See our video on keeping yourself safe online for more information. With all of these mediums to use them. Parents want to know what their children are doing. Parents, let's put ourselves in their shoes. Some of you may be parents, and some of you may not be. But the fact is that the children we deal with each day are the apple of someone's eye, as they should be. Parents send their little ones off to nursery when they're still in nappies and to begin education at the age of 3. And as someone who sent their baby to nursery at 7 months old, it's really, really hard to hand over this perfect little person over to people you don't really know. As educators, we're trusted to enrich and develop the hearts and minds of our pupils every single day. It's important that we always remember that this is a great honour that's been bestowed upon us. We must never forget that each mark on the register, each data point on a spreadsheet, and each name on a behaviour referral form belongs to a child who is the centre of someone's world. Parents and teachers are the two biggest contributors to a child's educational success. And when parents and teachers communicate well with one another, they're able to support student learning together. As such, communication between home and school is vital. However, the opportunity to interact will vary, and typically the opportunities will reduce as the child ages, and this will be limited to just parents' evening in secondary. For communication to take place, one party must intentionally reach out to the other. Now, thankfully, the use of technology such as email, texting, websites, electronic portfolios, and online forums like Tapestry have made communication between parents and teachers more timely, efficient, productive, and satisfying. Now, research shows that the quality of students' learning environment critically influences their learning, which really doesn't come as a shock. If they have a supported environment at school and a supportive environment at home where someone takes an interest in their learning, then obviously this will be beneficial to the child. This is why it's important for you to develop a cohesive approach between both you as the educator and the parent. For example, if the child needs support with fractions, then make sure the parent knows this. Or if they're showing a natural acumen for storytelling, get their parents to encourage their passion. Protocols. Schools will definitely have a protocol to follow, and it's always worth checking how things are done. Protocols will change from school to school, as well as key stage to key stage. Nursery have a full, comprehensive handover every day, and it is a shock to most parents when they transition to primary, and suddenly you don't know what they've eaten or how many poos they've had. Teachers are still pretty visible to parents in the primary setting, but once children move to secondary education, children are often more independent and go to school on their own, as well as teachers not being as accessible due to the organisation of the school day. However, dealing with parents is an essential role of staff. We want you to be prepared for all eventualities, so always check the school policy or ask for advice when dealing with parents. Let's look at some ways of communicating. The informal chat. When a child begins their school life, there's much more opportunity to communicate more freely and easily with the school, as there's more teacher-parent opportunities to meet face-to-face. So this may occur at the beginning of the school day or at the end of the day when the children are being collected. That little conversation can reassure a parent that their child is doing okay, and just a "Sarah had a great day today" can send them home with a smile on their face. Now sometimes we need to speak to a parent or a carer about a medical concern, and the informal approach at the end of the day at school can be less intimidating and serious. Mrs. Hassan, I'm so glad I caught you. Jasmine has complained of earache and certainly hasn't been herself. It came on about an hour ago. Might be worth getting it checked out. You might also use this opportunity to let them know how they're getting on in their subjects. Mr. Grayson, Daniel has shown a real interest in history this week. Is this something you've been talking about at home? Then we have the more challenging chats. Now, I'm saying challenging in inverted commas because your conversations will be as challenging as you make them. If you build something up to be a big deal, then it will be. The more you plan or prepare for a delicate conversation, the easier it will be. Always treat conversations with empathy and make sure you remember that nothing a child does to you is personal. It may be that you need to have a conversation that the parent or guardian might find difficult to hear, so this should be dealt with in a more sensitive manner. This might be to flag up a behaviour, a worry or concern, or ask a sensitive question. Now think about where, when and how you should approach these. Mr. Jacobson, is there a chance we can just have a little word in private? If you go to the office and sign in, I'll come up and have a chat. It won't take long and there's nothing to worry about. This may be to discuss or inform a parent about an incident their child was involved in. But rather than a public playground chat, you want to have a little bit more privacy and show that professional behaviour. This shows respect for the situation. Do not call a parent at lunchtime and tell them you need to speak to them face to face at the end of the day without giving them an idea of what it's about. That parent will spend the rest of the day worrying, panicking, and it's just not nice or necessary. I got a call once to ask me to come in to discuss an incident at nursery, and they didn't explain what it was. So my mind was absolutely racing, thinking of the worst possible situations, and it turned out it was fine. But the issue with that was my emotions were heightened from the initial conversation. So if it was something serious and they already had me in this hyper emotional state, it's not going to get a great reaction. Sometimes parents need to be aware of the fact that there are unacceptable issues surrounding their child. Now, to have this conversation with a parent can be highly emotive, and you need to be prepared for the possible responses, which could range from denial and anger to accepting and upset about the situation. You may find yourself being confronted, and when being confronted, if you are unprepared, you may be left feeling out of your depth and the conversation won't go the way you want it to. Before any meeting, through whatever medium, discuss this with your line manager. Don't work independently, taking things into your own hands. Management must be aware, and you need to go through this with someone who can support you in your reasons to communicate with the parent. If you identify some potential issues with a child early on, set it out with the parents how you can deal with these things if they come up in the future. Put a plan together so there are no surprises. To help you prepare, you can follow this process. Always work in line with school policies and procedures, and ask if you're not sure. Think about whether you should do this on your own or with a colleague. Having two people there will give you support if it is a difficult conversation, and it might make you feel more confident. However, you should consider that having 2-on-1 might make the parent feel ambushed or ganged up on and then react badly. So this also takes away the conversation between teacher and parent and makes it school and parent. Remember, you are the professional and should behave in a professional manner at all times, showing respect, thanking them for their time, and having an aim of working together for the benefit of their child. Speak politely and clearly communicate the situation to be discussed. Before a meeting, make notes and have evidence to support the situation. Get the parents on side with positive language and the use of positive adjectives. I know when nursery says that my child was a little bit mischievous, that's then putting a positive spin on the fact she was a little terror. Make sure you use words that everyone will know and not anything overly educational. Do treat the parents as the expert on their child. They are. Do allow the parents to have a voice and put forward their points. And when they're speaking, don't interrupt. They need to be listened to. Take notes if required, but inform the parents that you're doing so. Reread the notes at the end of the meeting to ensure they agree and ensure they know that you're not writing notes about them, but the actions that you're taking going forward. If things get a little tense, try to diffuse the meeting with calm, clear sentences. I fully understand this can be upsetting. Should I get you a cup of coffee or a glass of water, or should we just take a break for 5 minutes? It's important to communicate that the child is not their failings. The child is not terrible. It's the actions that need addressing. Remember, no one likes to feel judged. Being rubbish at fractions is not the parent's fault, but Johnny exhibiting signs of violence is something they need to deal with. It might be that he's playing violent video games and the parent isn't aware of the impact this is having. It's far easier to get a parent to buy into the fact that the action is wrong, and it's pretty much impossible to agree that their child is wrong. It's always best to utilise a joint approach and deal with every parent situation with empathy. I know this can be challenging at times, but it is something that you need to deal with. I've been Natalie, and if you found this video on dealing with parents useful, then like and subscribe to keep seeing more from MyProgression. And let's keep your career in motion.